Hello, and welcome to the Leadership Reality Podcast with your girl, Taiji Charity. This podcast is for C-suite leaders to discuss their experiences and provide insight, encouragement, and inspiration for seasoned and inspiring leaders, offering valuable solutions to today's challenges that will inspire, ignite, and invigorate new and seasoned leaders to walk in their God-given authority with compassion, kindness, and empathy. So sit back, relax, and be prepared to be inspired with today's episode of Leadership Reality. Thank you. Welcome to another episode of Leadership Realities with me, Taiji Charity, where we will be sharing tales from the top. Y'all, we got a treat for you today. Our guest is the beautiful, smart, award-winning CEO and Spelman graduate, Miss Lyndsey Collins Wilson. She is the CEO of First Star Incorporated, a national nonprofit that empowers high school age youth in foster care to transition to self-sufficiency through higher education and other pathways. Her career began with Teach for America in Atlanta, Georgia, where she increased students' achievement and earned the Atlanta Families Award for Excellence in Education. She partnered with organizations like the EPA and the King Center to positively impact students' lives. As the youngest female principal at Inner City Education Foundation in Inglewood, California, she developed a leadership model that earned her the Leadership Award and the Young Achievement Award from the Black Business Association. Since becoming CEO of First Star in 2019, Lyndsey has doubled the organization's budget and staff size, expanded program reach, and secured over $35 million in funding from California state legislatures and various donors to bolster education services for youth in foster care nationwide. Oh my God, teach us, Lyndsey, teach us. Lyndsey has established alumni services, launched a virtual STEAM curriculum, and built coalitions like the California Foster Youth Pre-College Collective. Under her leadership, 97% of First Star youth graduate high school and 89% pursue secondary education. Lyndsey's achievements have been featured in LA Times Magazine, ABC Nighttime News, the LA Times, the NBC, and she's also led workshops globally in Mexico, South Africa, Bosnia, the girls all over. In March, she was named Alumni Honoree of the Year by Spelman's Los Angeles Alumni Chapter under the banner Powerful Pioneer, and a powerful pioneer she is. Welcome, Lyndsey.
Thank you.
I'm so excited. Girl, look, I really want to start with that $35 million, but I'm going to pace myself, okay?
Okay.
That's some impressive stuff, all right? So listen, tell me, when did you first realize that you were a leader?
Let's see. I would say maybe elementary school. And I just want to thank you for the introduction. And sometimes when you hear those things over again, it feels a little overwhelming because in order to get to sort of those things that you hear, it requires a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of patience, collaboration, willingness to pick yourself back up when personal setbacks happen or professional setbacks occur. So, just thank you for that wonderful introduction.
No, absolutely. And thank you for saying that, because sometimes people hear the achievement and they hear all the accolades and they think it's like an overnight success, and people don't always understand what you've been through.
Right.
It's like you see me right now on the other side of something.
Right.
But honey, if you had to go through some of the things I went through to get to that, you might just want to sit back and clap and say, good job.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, no, thank you.
So all right, tell me, in elementary school.
So elementary school, kindergarten, I was selected to be in the school play. So I had one of the leading roles as a kindergartner in the school play.
What play was it?
And Little Red Riding Hood.
I love it. I love it.
And I think it was that time because my mom actually, she sort of blew up the picture from that play, and it was in my bedroom my entire life. So I would see this picture and it would remind me of this experience. And one of the things that I learned was, I was okay with speaking in front of people.
Yes.
That if you put me out there, I was comfortable and I could share, in that case it was lines, and I learned over time that I could share a message with people.
Yes.
But I also realized the impact of being able to share something that matters to folks, and also the feeling that you get back from it, the reaction you get from individuals. And so I think that was a part of the start of my leadership journey. It started really as early as kindergarten.
I love it. And you just kind of, or your parents are nurtured that leadership quality.
Right.
So in this realm of business, when was your first role in business as a leader?
In business as a leader, my first role, it would have to be in high school. I was an entrepreneur.
You better go ahead, girl. That's what I'm talking about.
I was an entrepreneur.
I needed friends like you in high school.
I would, we're from here, Los Angeles, California. I would go down to downtown Los Angeles, to downtown. I would buy things, and I would sell it to my friends.
I know, that's right.
And for the goal of, having things that I wanted. So if I wanted to purchase the class ring, I knew I needed to work a little harder because there was only so much that my parents were able to give. And so that sort of started a bit of the entrepreneurial piece in me, is just being willing to sort of purchase things and resell with classmates and with others. But also I think that my sort of formal understanding in the business space came by way of my aunt, who is the publisher of LA Focus.
We love LA Focus. Let's just put that out there. We love LA Focus.
Yeah, so she would have me working in her office every summer.
Are you
and
serious?
I was doing pretty tedious tasks where I would listen to an interview and try to transcribe it the best way I could, a 20-minute interview, and I'm 13, trying my best. And I would give her the final product that I thought was pretty good. It wasn't the best, but she would accept it as it was because she understood that she was developing these skills in me. I was working on mailing items and mailing her books to folks and meeting with her friends and meeting with her partners and just sort of being in the room and just sort of taking in seeing a strong woman navigate in sort of this business landscape allowed me to really, again, step into more of that leadership role in business. And so I'm really grateful for my aunt for those opportunities.
Gotta love the adults in your life that see the potential also and just really help nurture that. That's great. LA Focus has been around for how long? That's that
90s.
Publication since the 90s.
Early 90s.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, anything you need to know about the community and what's happening in the community, get your LA Focus, okay?
Yeah.
That's amazing. So tell me about First Star. What's the mission of First Star?
Yeah, so First Star, our focus is to work with high school age foster youth to support their transition really from first year in high school as freshmen to their senior year and then get them to that next level of post-secondary, whether it's into college or a certificate program, vocational, career, military. We want to support that transition. What makes First Star so unique and special is that we work with our kids for 4 years. We are consistently there pouring into their academic studies, supporting their life skills, the growth is sort of in those spaces of understanding financial ambition. And we're also there supporting them through therapeutic supports.
Yes, so important with young people in foster care. People often miss that.
Right.
They didn't grow up with the stability or have the stability of a parent or, a mentor or someone in their life. So they really need that extra hands-on guidance.
They do. And so we're able to do that over 4 years. And ultimately, after like year 1, the students start to call First Star a family. And they call their peers a family. The youth coaches that work for our program, many of them are former foster youth. And so they're able to see this person as a mentor and they can do it, so I can do it. And so over 4 years, we cultivate this really strong sense of youth development, of personal development. And it's because of that we graduate so many of our youth from high school.
Those numbers are impressive, 97%. When statistics say that only about 50% of youth from foster care graduate high school. So honey, those are some really impressive numbers.
Yeah, no, and even when you break down that 50%, imagine there's some states that maybe you have more youth graduating high school, and many states where you have less.
Yes.
I because we're a national organization, I have the opportunity of understanding what's happening in the Midwest, what's happening in the South, what's happening on the East Coast. And oftentimes, I will come across high school graduation rates for states that are in the teens, that are in the 20s. And so when you think about the power of work, like what's happening here at KITS, what we're doing at First Star is we are allowing young people to acknowledge that they are leaders.
Yes.
And that what they have gone through can be parlayed into talents and strengths.
Absolutely.
And it's because of that time and dedication and commitment that we're able to get to that 97% of young people graduating from high school.
Yes.
And so many of them actually thinking about what those next steps are and pursuing those next steps.
And it's the expectation.
Yeah.
When you set the expectations high, they will rise to meet the expectation. But when you have very little expectation for them, that's what you're going to get.
Yeah.
But we come through the door like, look, you were created to do great things.
Yeah.
So you going to do great things.
Right.
So here are the expectations.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
And they rise to the occasion of that.
Yeah.
Look, I love that. You guys are nationwide.
Yeah.
How many states are you actually in?
So we're in 10 states across the country.
Yes.
We're expanding to 2 additional sites over the next year.
Congratulations.
So we're really excited about that. We also have an alumni network. So not only are we serving our high schoolers in the program, but concurrently we serve our alumni that have exited the program.
Yes.
We provide them with microgrants. We provide them with internships. We're developing a mentorship initiative right now with Be a Mentor. So another incredible organization that serves California as well as the entire country. And so what we have found is that our impact and our reach goes beyond the 10 states where we have our academies.
Yes.
We're in about half the states of the United States have First Star scholars. Young people that can say that they proudly went through the First Star program or are currently in it and are excited about their future. And that is something that we want all youth to feel.
Yes.
We want all youth to experience
every last
that.
one of them.
We want all youth to know that there are people and that there are engines behind them that are supporting their trajectory.
Yes.
And I'm so proud that First Star has been able to do that for so many young people here in the States.
Ooh, I got goosebumps. I love it. I love the model. I love just being so intentional about every youth.
Yeah.
I tell my team sometime, no youth left behind. I'm sorry. I don't care what they've gone through. I don't care what the challenge. And I know sometimes in our classrooms, I had to share years ago with some of the instructors when they would say, well, we can't save everybody. I'm like, look, we're not in the business of trying to save in the tradition, you know, in the term of say, we're in the business of partnering with them, helping them navigate. And yes, we can make sure that we're intentional about every youth that we touch. Because if you go in with that attitude that you can't help them all, you can't save them all, then you're going to give up. When they need you to be strong and not give up. They've had enough people give up on, girl, don't get me started. Okay, look, we're going to talk about your leadership realities, all right?
Okay.
Tell me, Lyndsey, double the staff size, double the budget. Teach me. How? What did you do?
You know, I will say that I learned a lot as a middle school principal. As a young middle school principal. I learned a lot about vulnerability.
Yes.
I learned a lot about being willing to evaluate and being okay and open about evaluation processes and not making people feel bad maybe for not meeting a goal, but talking about how can we provide the resources and the bandwidth to help us get there. And so I learned a lot as a principal.
Okay.
And I was able to take those learnings into First Star. And so one of the first things we did was exactly what I just shared. We evaluated and I like to use this word sort of intrusive. We intrusively reviewed our budget.
Okay.
I wanted to understand, where is the money going? How much money are we putting towards programs? What's the ROI with those programs? How much are we, as an organization, do we have to fund in order to keep a program going, as opposed to the program itself? What is it able to bring in? And what we realized was there were some areas that we needed to clean up within the organization. And it took some time, but with the support of the board, and of course with having these clear goals and expectations laid out, we were able to increase the dollars coming in to further support the mission of First Star. A part of that included strategic planning.
Yes.
So, you know, with my team, we put together, you know, and it's a funny story. When I started at First Star, it was in 2017. So by Q1 of 2018, I told them, I was like, we need to put a strat plan together. Because, you know.
So you didn't start as the CEO?
No.
What position were you in when you started?
I started off as the Director of Academy Operations.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
as Academy Operations. And so because that at the time, that was all First Star was. We were just academies. We have since grown since I've become the CEO. We're alumni, we are STEAM, we're now coalition building. But at that time, we were just academies. So I was like, we need to understand how these academies are operating and how the team pours into these academies. And so it was through those exercises that helped us understand, A, where were the gaps? And then B, let's start to develop a game plan around how do we fill those gaps. And oftentimes, as you mentioned, when we're working with students, you know, we don't want them to just sort of be mediocre. And oftentimes in the world of education, you hear the word adequate. And that's sort of the way that education is run, right? Are they getting enough? Are they getting what they need? We want to give people also what they want. We want people to thrive. And so the same sort of notion and vision I had when I worked in the school site is what I took with me to First Star. We need to know what we need that is enough for us to survive, but we also need to understand what do we need to thrive. And so we just had fun in figuring out the different pipelines in order to get us to that place. And so, so we were able to double our budget. And in doing so, we doubled our staff size because we were growing the organization. You know, when you're running an organization, you're always mindful of these conditions that exist that might impact the communities that you're working with or the business itself, the organization itself. And so, you know, thinking through those conditions again also helped us understand how do we increase our budget. And the bottom line to that, and I think people often, you know, when we're thinking about nonprofits and businesses, we're all the same, right? We all have actually very similar practices that help us build out a strong infrastructure and ultimately allow us to serve our young people, whether it's a client or a customer. And so what we've done at First Star is, in all of those conversations, we focused on our students. What will it mean for us to double our budget?
Because that's why we exist.
Exactly. What else can we do? What will we be able to pour into those young people by adding more to the organization's budget? And so those were always the driving questions that allowed our team to really coalesce around the idea and then ultimately allow us to get to this point of growing our organization the way we have.
I absolutely love it. Love it. How many staff members do you have?
So we're pretty small. So First Star National is a team of 8 people.
Okay.
The network itself, however, is about 20 people. So overall, it's 28 folks that work for First Star or work for our First Star academies.
Okay.
So each of our academies across our country have an academy director. So it's a full-time staff member that works at that university that runs the First Star program.
Okay.
Many of them have full-time assistant directors.
Okay.
So when you bring that group together, that is sort of our full-time staff. But we also have our student staff that work for our programs, and then over the summer, our staff sizes quadruple because we bring on youth coaches over the summer as our peer mentors / youth coaches.
Okay.
So depending on the time of year, we're about 30 people, and then if it's the summertime, you know, we are 120 people
it increases
or 150 people, that are First Star employees for that period of time.
Wow. You guys are at Hampton University, right?
We're not
at Hampton. What school in Virginia?
ODU.
Oh, okay, ODU.
Old Dominion in Norfolk.
And let me tell you, so my husband's family is from Virginia, right?
Oh, nice.
So my niece works at ODU. I was trying to remember which university. And so she sends me this email, Taiji, do you know about First Star? You need to meet First Star. I was like, oh, yes, I know about First Star. They're amazing. And then I went into the movie Foster Boy. So for those of you who do not know, First Star was the executive producer of this phenomenal film. I'm getting emotional real quick. Of this phenomenal film called Foster Boy. It is streaming now on Netflix. You have got to watch this story. Girl, I've seen Foster Boy probably 5 times. And every single time it just does something inside because it deals with, I'll let you tell the story. Give us a little synopsis of Foster Boy and how did First Star come to actually producing this film?
Oh my gosh, that's sort of a long story, but it's a fascinating one, and I'll try to go quickly through it.
Okay, go.
Our president, our board president, Peter Samuelson, is a Hollywood executive.
Phenomenal actor.
And yes, and he's done some great things, and he's produced many films. He was teaching a class, and one of the students in the class shared the script with him. He was an attorney, and he said, I want to share with you an experience that I've had with some of my clients. And Peter read the script and loved it and said, we should turn this into a film. That was the start of Foster Boy. What makes it so unique, and I hope what you pulled when you were watching the key actor, Shane McGee, is that
amazing. He was so good.
He was incredible, and he's also amazing. He's an ambassador for First Star, so shout out to Shane.
Yes.
He actually met with our students. He met with our UCLA scholars, and at the time, I was at the UCLA program. I was a director of the program at the time, and I remember just telling the students, what do you want Shane to know about your experience? When he is in his booth and he's preparing for this role, what do you want him to know? And I'll tell you what, our students, some of them shared page-long thoughts around, here's what I went through. I was raped at one point. I was left to be on my own at one point. I was told I didn't matter. And I want you to know that despite these things that I went through, I'm still a normal kid.
Yes.
That desires to have, you know,
Success
my friends, my success in life, love, all of those things that we all want.
Absolutely.
And so I thought it was a beautiful moment in that Shane started reading these letters in front of the students and got emotional. And what I found out afterward was that he actually pinned these letters up in his trailer as a reminder of the actual stories and the actual people he would be representing in that film.
Yeah.
And so the story of Foster Boy is, it's sort of a compilation of a few different individual stories. But Foster Boy is about a young man who grew up in the foster care system. And at one point while he was in the system, he was in a foster home that the Child Welfare Agency was aware that they had also placed another young man who had molested young people in the past, prior to that being placed there. The young man in the film, Jamal, ended up being molested by this young man. And sort of his life took some tough turns, and he found himself in court with an opportunity to sue the Child Welfare Agency. And that is really the meat of the story, is just how intense the process was of Jamal having to relive everything he'd gone through. He still wasn't a perfect person, so he still had his challenges, reliving those scenarios and those situations. He didn't get along with the attorney, and he felt like the attorney was only in it just for himself and didn't really care about him and his story. And by the time we get to the end of the film, the attorney has changed his perspective on Jamal and also young people in care. Jamal has sort of grown his understanding of
everybody in the world is not bad and against him, right?
Exactly. And then the Child Welfare Agency was found liable for what happened. And we would assume that there was a significant settlement, and because of that, the Child Welfare Agency no longer exists. Right? It was a for-profit Child Welfare Agency, and so in that case, they didn't do a good job by Jamal.
That was the biggest takeaway for me, is handling kids in foster care as a paycheck. That was the thing that disturbed me. All the things that he went through, of course, the rape, horrible. But when you had adults basically handling his case as just a case number, not a person, as a case number that had a dollar sign attached to it. Because the more placements I send you in, the more money my agency, girl, let me tell you, I was like, help me. The first time, I literally wanted to throw something at the screen. Like, that's the reaction. And I work in this world. We produce films all the time. We are dealing with these same stories. And every single time, it blows me away. But just knowing that this engine, this huge, profitable business, and the extreme that they went through to keep their mess covered. Okay, y'all. Watch Foster Boy. I'm going to leave it at that. All right? Watch Foster Boy. So tell me, Lyndsey, about team building. What is that like for you as a CEO to really build a team people that you trust, a team that have a heart for the work that you're doing. What is that like for you?
Yeah. It's not easy.
Right?
So I'll say that.
Say that again and again and
Yeah,
again.
and sometimes you'll go through some iterations until
Ooh,
you feel like
you?
you have achieved sort of an optimal and a fantastic team. But I do think that it starts from the beginning, the way that you hire, your hiring processes, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things that we have instituted at First Star is so we have a 4-step hiring process.
Oh, okay.
And the first item is you actually provide responses to a few questions that we have. And these questions are usually about foster youth. Why do you care about the work? What draws you to the foster care system? Why do you care about special populations and sort of underserved individuals? We want to know from the jump if you have a heart for
the work.
People.
Exactly.
Right? For others. And then once we get through that point, we then have interviews where the person gets a chance to meet with folks on their team. They then meet with executive leadership. They meet with board leadership. So you get a lot of inputs into how folks feel about who this potential hire is and how they feel like they will work with the team. So that's one of the first things we do. The next thing we do is we have a pretty intense onboarding process. This onboarding process includes meeting with every team member, having sort of these specific questions that the team members ask to continue to build and gauge that level of connection and building out the culture. And so beyond those sort of initial steps that we take, there's a lot of modeling that happens on our team. And I model a lot of what I want to see from my staff, but ultimately I support them in the areas where they are strong. I encourage them to utilize those areas to support them in reaching these goals that we've established. So we have performance evaluation plan, we have weekly team meetings, we have bi-weekly one-on-ones with our staff. And so it's been those sort of processes that we've adapted over time that have helped us build a stronger team. Today, I would say that I am working with an incredible high-achieving team across the board.
Love that.
I'm proud of each and every one of them. And there's a lot of trust that we have amongst our team. And it took time to get there, but those steps that I shared were ways that we got there, were some of the ways that we got there. And then other ways are opportunities to be vulnerable with one another. When you're in a team environment, we do focus on, the strategic plan and what we have in front of us over the next week, month, year that we need to work on. But the other piece is, how are you doing? Tell me about your family. Tell me about your friends. I can tell you very specific details of everybody on my team. Because I like to get to know them beyond what they produce. And so I think that has helped with achieving and sort of creating this particular team.
That is so great. Part of my struggle is I'm sort of this all-in girl. Like finding balance for me is sometimes really hard because I believe in, being a vulnerable. But then I'll be real vulnerable. They're like, wait, TMI. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's really learning how to be vulnerable, but understanding how much is too much and how little is too little. Because I really do encourage vulnerability because that for me helps to build trust. When I can trust you and you can trust me, then we can gel. And I know that you're looking out for me and I'm looking out for you. So we don't have to worry about anything because we're both looking out for one another and as a team. So we've been really creating this sort of healing-centered model around the team. And I know one of the challenges is being a small organization. Sometimes when you hire, people come in and they, this is a small organization. I can put my stamp. I can do this. And no. The vision is set. These are the goals. This is the strategic plan. And this is what I brought you in to follow this, not to come and create your own sort of design. And I love creativity, but within the framework and the goals that we have already established. So do you have any challenges with that? Like people coming in and wanting to sort of reinvent or not, kind of make it their,
Yeah.
a vision that they see that don't necessarily align with the direction or the strategic plan you have in place.
Yes, yes. Yeah, that has happened. I think even as a principal and also in this space with First Star, that does happen. And that can be challenging because sometimes you will listen to the idea and the team might listen to the idea, but it's just not the direction we're going in.
Right.
And so navigating that, sort of balancing that between sort of even factions of the team that might agree with that idea can be a little difficult. And one of the ways that I've sort of worked through those scenarios is spending more time with that individual that sort of has these ideas, but also helping them rethink or reconstruct that idea within their department, within their space that still falls within the strategic plan.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes time to get there. And then I'm also going to be honest with you, sometimes you don't get there.
Right.
And then that's when you have difficult conversations, right? When you think about probably the hardest part of being a leader is the people management part.
Yes.
And, folks say that it's a lonely position. And it's true. And it's not that it's lonely because, we don't want to talk to others or, it might be perceived as such, but we have to also manage the group and the people here.
Right.
And we're always seeing the bigger picture of how we're moving forward. And sometimes you have to part ways with folks.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest part. I would say that's
it's so hard. Yes.
Yeah. And sometimes you have to make that decision.
Right.
And sometimes that's.
It just is what it is.
It is what it is. And sometimes it's better for both folks.
Right,
you know?
Right.
Because you also don't want to downplay somebody that has an amazing idea.
Right.
It just might not be the best time for this organization.
Right.
But there may be another one where it is a great fit.
Absolutely.
And so you have to sort of think about it that way too.
Yeah, that's true. I know I've told team members before, I'm like, if it doesn't work out, let me be a resource for you. Like, I don't want to be a hindrance to you. I would prefer to be a resource for you. I prefer to be able to say, this person here was excellent in what they did. They, even when things may not have gone their way, like they know how to handle disagreements, healthy disagreements, healthy. And so let me be a reference for you. So but it is tough. It is tough, especially for people like me, because I'm a recovering people pleaser. Okay, but I'm recovering. I'm getting there.
It is tough.
So tell me real quickly, who are some of the leaders you admire?
Let's see. I admire a lot of historical figures. I admire probably one of the first individuals that I learned about that I really grew quite fond of was Shirley Chisholm.
Oh yes, and Regina King played the. She played the role in her story.
She did.
That was on Netflix too, right? I think so. Yes.
One of those platforms now. I admire Shirley Chisholm for her energy and her desire to ensure that her voice was heard. Yes. Even if people didn't think that it deserved to be heard.
Yes.
And so I remember in elementary school, I wrote, a one-page essay on Shirley Chisholm. And that was my introduction to her. I think about people like Fannie Lou Hamer.
Oh, yes.
I think about the courage she had when she spoke in front of Congress.
Yes. I
think about how she passed away too, which is very different from how we tend to memorialize her.
Right.
And so I have I draw a lot from historical figures.
Love it.
And so, but I also, when I'm thinking about leaders, even present day leaders, I like to look at their attributes because leaders have their own flaws, right? They got their own issues that they're going through, but they've also shown this really incredible way of connecting with folks or achieving these really lofty ideas and lofty goals. And so I like to understand, like, what was it that they did or how did they get to that point? So I enjoy reading memoirs about people's lives, whether they're someone that we are aware of or somebody just sort of day to day.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so when I think about leaders, I think about those people, and then...
you got some good ones.
Yeah, and
They're
just grateful for my
phenomenal
family. My mom, my dad, they have been also instrumental in sort of developing me into who I am.
Love it.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not trying to land the plane. Y'all know I struggle with landing the plane because the conversation's been so good. But before I do land the plane, what nuggets would you like to share with just an aspiring leader or aspiring leaders? Like, what nuggets would you kind of use to encourage some up and coming leaders or even seasoned leaders who've been in a position for a while?
Yeah. You know, I would say to up and coming leaders or even seasoned leaders to continue to keep your eye on the prize.
Yes.
Setbacks are going to happen, personal ones, societal ones, professional ones. Don't let that keep you down. Pick yourself back up. And even if you need to ask a friend to help pick you back up. Phone a friend. But don't allow that to keep you from achieving what God has destined for you, what you have destined for yourself. Think about the friends that you're meeting along the way, the network of supporters. And also always remember that you don't get to that end point by yourself.
Right.
You get to that end point with amazing people around you. And so continue to pour into those people around you. And so that's what I would share.
Yes.
And you know, let your light shine. I shared this when I was giving at the Spelman event.
And congratulations again on that award.
Thank you.
Very impressive.
Thank you. And I ended that time with the audience with, this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine.
I know that's right.
And so that's the one thing that I would remind people of. At any point in time, let your light shine. Let your light shine.
Ooh, girl, I'm going to sip to that and I'm going to land the plane. Lyndsey, that was so good. And something we learn as little kids, especially people that grew up in the church singing, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. But it's so powerful because God has given all of us a light. And he's given enough light for all of us to shine. All right, all right, she's about to take me to church, y'all. It has been amazing sitting with you, Lyndsey. Thank you so much for saying yes. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for investing in the most vulnerable group of young people. We need more of you. We need more organizations like First Star, like Kids in the Spotlight, to just really stop and make sure that youth in foster care are taken care of, to let them know they matter and they're not forgotten. That is our show for today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so very much for joining us. I hope you heard something today that you can embrace and take with you on your leadership journey. And remember those 3 magical words: like, share, and subscribe. Y'all know how they do it. It's just how you do it. So we want to get the word out. We want more people to hear from amazing leaders and pioneers like Lyndsey. So please share. Thank you again. Have an amazing day on your leadership journey. Bye now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is our show for today. I hope you were inspired and you gained some valuable nuggets that will help you to become a better leader and to walk in your God-given authority. Bye until next time.